Hey BookTube, this is Bookmark Beth. I am back for a review of Stephen King's The Institute. So, The Institute is King's latest release. It was published back in September of 2019, and I am just now getting around to reading it. And I've had so much fun with this one. This one took me on such an intense roller coaster ride that I did not want to get off of. This was also my first buddy read of the new year, and I buddy read with Brad Proctor, who is also a fellow booktuber. It will be interesting to watch Brad's review since we did this buddy read together, so you kind of get two sides of the same coin. Before I dive into talking about this book, I wanted to share with you a bookmark that I recently purchased from A Stranger Dream, and here it is. I love this little bookmark of Stephen King. It is so cute. And his shirt says, "We all float down here," from it. And he kind of just sits like that, peeps his head out. So cute. So this will be my Stephen King bookmark only. And I also purchased one for a friend at work. Today was her last day, so we share this love for Stephen King, so it was like the perfect going away gift. Perfect. Also, the creator also sent me an extra little bookmark here with all their information on it. And I didn't even purchase this one either, but they sent me Jason, which this is really nice. I really love the artwork here. So yeah, that is what I got this week, so I figured I would share. It was fitting with the video, Stephen King bookmark. So I'm just gonna leave Stephen sitting right there. He's just gonna stare at you while we talk. What is this book about? So here's the setting. America, year 2018. We have contemporary issues, political, we have modern technology, we have mentions of famous celebrities like Kanye, all that jazz. You are put into present day, and you also, as a reader, are experiencing present day. So this book really just takes you there. This is the element that I love about this book, is because of its modern features. It takes on this realistic form, this believability that this stuff could happen, this horror could happen. Now let's talk about the genre before we get into the plot. So it's marked as a horror slash thriller slash science fiction, okay? Definitely science fiction, because it plays on the powers of the mind, telepathy and telekinesis and all that stuff. It also plays on thriller. Definitely 100% a thriller. There are some horror elements, but don't get it twisted. This is not a book like it. There are no supernatural things unless you want to talk about mind powers. There are no monsters other than real life human monsters, and we all know that real monsters are humans. So that's why it's marked as a horror book, and I totally agree with that, because y'all know what happened in Nazi Germany, right? That was horrific, right? No one believed that happened, right? Until we saw the evidence, until we saw what actually happened. Very quick summary of this book. Basically begins with the story of this cop who has landed himself somehow, some way, in this little small town of Dupre in South Carolina. And meanwhile, we pan across to another state in America where this child named Luke is currently being abducted and kidnapped shortly after his parents are murdered in their home. Then Luke wakes up in an institute, and he's surrounded by other kids who all share one thing in common. mind powers. Some are either telepathic, some have telekinesis, but that is one thing that they have figured out they have in common. No one knows what happened to their parents or families, and no one really understands or knows why they're there, because they have not been told the 100% truth as to why they are there. They just know that they spend some time in a part of the facility known as front half, and after a certain length of time they will be taken to another part of the facility known as the back half. And children from front half know that once you go to back half, there's no returning. His world building of the Institute is quite possibly one of my favorite aspects of this book, because to set this story up, he has built upon the horrors of the imaginable and unimaginable circumstances that have and do plague the world today. And especially in America, we see cases of murder and cases of child abduction and kidnappings and deceit, cover-ups, conspiracies, all that stuff. And he just builds on that to create this roller coaster of a ride story that's about these children who have these remarkable and extraordinary powers, who come together to fight, you know, these human monsters, these adults who are just so despicable, and that to me makes it horror, because we all know that real monsters are human, okay? Humans are real monsters. I love the characters in Stephen King's books. That's kind of what King prides himself on, is his character building. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed these characters. I was rooting for these kids more than I was rooting for the kids in it, okay? I really enjoy that, but that's not my favorite part. That is not my favorite part, and it's always my favorite part about his writing, is just the character development and just being so close with these characters that you feel every emotion within them and towards them. But to me, this is one of the best endings I have ever read in a Stephen King book. I really enjoyed this ending, guys. This plot, there were so many different aspects to this plot that were well wrapped up, so well thought out. All the loose ends were tied up. Just when I was thinking, well, wait a minute, what's gonna happen when, and then he would answer it. Or, wait a minute, we haven't seen this person yet. Oh, there it is. Oh, wait a minute, when they go there, this is gonna happen. Oh, there it is. He has literally thought through every possible scenario for this ending and just masterfully concluded the story in such a way that it makes it so believable. It was just a really phenomenal and satisfying experience for me. I was not bored with this story at any point in time. Not that I ever am when I read King, but I would recommend this story to someone who has trouble reading King, due to the fact that he kind of draws things out and really plays on the build-up. This one, there was build-up, don't get me wrong, but it was more of a constant up and down roller coaster ride. It wasn't just going up and going down to your first drop and that's it. But to me, I was constantly anticipating the point where, you know, the lead character, one of the kids, Luke, is going to finally cross paths with the character that we're introduced to from the beginning of the story, you know, the ex-cop who gets this job as a night knocker. So you know at some point their paths are going to cross, right? So I was constantly anticipating that. Was constantly anticipating, you know, what's going to happen next. You know, from the time Luke wakes up in this room that's locked up, what's going to happen? Because King does so well playing on the fear of children. He brings you back to that mentality. It's almost as if you're a child again. As a reader, I tend to read more thriller than I do anything else. I do like horror, don't get me wrong, but I have more read books under the thriller genre, okay? This was so good. This book was such a good thriller. That being said, it's also science fiction. It's also a little bit of horror, but mainly it's thriller, and it's a 5-star thriller, and I definitely recommend it to anyone who loves thrillers. I recommend it to anybody who loves King's writing, and I also recommend it to those of you who have trouble getting into King and you would like to, but you don't really know where to start. I think this is a good one to start with. You know, I have not read all of his work, but this one, it has build up, not as drawn out as, say, The Shining. I gave 5 stars to The Institute, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time, don't forget to bookmark Beth.